there, and welcome to day 11 of the challenge. And today I want to talk to you about your blog's USP, otherwise known as your unique selling proposition. It's very important that you understand this and apply it to your site. I know it can potentially sound like just boring marketing crap, but this stuff is really, really important if you want your blog to stand out. And the thing is, if your blog does not stand out, you're just going to be part of the noise. Nobody's going to pay any attention to you. What you want is that your blog occupies a certain space in your reader's mind so that when they think of you, they think of a particular thing, whatever it is that you're probably talking about. So let's go over to my screen. Let's talk a little bit about the USP. So again, as I said, the USP stands for unique selling proposition. Now, this is a marketing term. You can look it up online. There's a lot of people talking about it. And I also want to make a quick point, and that is that even though it has the word selling in it, it does not necessarily mean this only applies to bloggers who are trying to sell product. This is a marketing thing that goes right to the very heart of your blog's expandability into your market, into your niche. Because if your blog doesn't mean anything to anybody, they're really not going to bother reading it. So this is a very, very important thing. Now, the USP basically defines what makes your blog or your business stand out from others. It's a matter of differentiation, and that's a very, very important point. It also immediately defines what you do in your readers' mind. Now, this is especially important if you're in a market where there's a lot of other people, because you want to make sure that mentally, when your reader actually thinks of you or thinks of your blog, that a particular thing comes to mind which is different than other people. If you're nothing but a carbon copy of somebody else, you're really not going to stand out. And I'm not just simply talking about an actual carbon copy where you're basically talking about the exact same things. It's also a matter of how they perceive you from the outside. So you got to ask yourself, what makes what you're doing actually different? You can talk about the same things as other people, but still do it in a different way, and this could be your USP. Now, how are you going to go about finding what your USP is? Well, one way is to just go with your natural personality. And I emphasize the word natural here because personality here does make a big difference. It could be a matter of having a sense of humor and, just whatever is part of your personality. A lot of times personality will be a big part of what makes your blog different than other people. However, it's important to not lose sight of the natural part of it, because if you're being fake about it, it's going to show through and it's just not going to work very well. So it needs to be part of your natural personality. If you're naturally a boring person, well, this might not be part of your USP. You might need to look at different ways of going about it. Another one is to narrow down your niche. Now, this is a very, very important one. You don't want to necessarily appeal to everybody. You want to apply it just to the right people. So if you narrow down your market so that that differentiates you from other people, then that would be a good USP. Now, one example would be, like, for me, being that I talk about blogging and bloggers and things like that. Well, if I sub-niched it down to something like blogging for plumbers or blogging for web designers or something like that, well, that would be a definite USP, because there's probably not a whole lot of people out there talking about blogging for plumbers. Not saying I'm going to go into that market, but it's just an example. Another way to find your USP is combining dissimilar markets together. So things that just don't naturally go together in most people's minds, you combine them, and that is a good USP, and it will stand out. One example here might be something like, I don't know, knitting for men or something like that. I guess knitting is not something that you typically see a bunch of guys doing. Well, if you had a blog that was all about knitting for guys, that would pretty much stand out and be a pretty good unique selling proposition. So keep in mind here, you're not trying to appeal to everybody, and that's a very, very important point. You just want to appeal to the right people. Now, how do you communicate your USP to people? Where are you going to actually do this? You want to do this in the blog's title, in your logo, and also your byline. The byline is extremely important because it's what people are going to see typically beneath or to the side of your logo, which is going to clarify exactly what it is your blog is about. Your about page also needs to communicate your USP. So when they go to your about page, don't just sit there and talk about yourself. Talk about what is going to make your blog different than other people and why they should read it. Also, your content is going to clearly make your USP clear. I mean, this is going to be more of a long-term thing, because as you determine and really hone in on your USP, it's going to steer the overall direction of your content. Now, one tip that I will mention here briefly, but I could obviously go into more detail about this, and that is to create a position document where you actually have an ongoing, constantly evolving document in Evernote or Google Docs or whatever that outlines the different positions that you have in regards to your market, the different things that define you, your history, how you got to think these things. And this basically is a summary document of you and your brand. And then this can act as a nice little point of orientation for all your content. So the content is actually going to be coming off of, in an indirect way, this position document, and it's a great way to make sure that all the content that you put out there is oriented around your brand and around your USP. So that's USP, unique selling proposition. It's a very important topic. I want to make sure that you understand this fully and that you actually look at your blog and what you're doing and determine what the USP is. It's very important that you do this. This is not just arcane marketing crap that's going to come out of some weird college class. This is real world stuff that you need to apply to your own site. And again, it does not matter if you're trying to directly make money with this blog. If you just want anybody to pay attention in the first place, you need to have a USP. You need to be able to clearly show how your blog is different from other people. And again, it does not mean different in terms of just what you talk about, although it could also be in the way that you talk about it, in the way that you present the material. There's a number of different ways that can make your site unique, but what you want is that the reader, when they come there, you're going to occupy a unique little spot in your reader's mind, and that when they think of you, they think of your blog, they're going to think of that. And that's what you want. So think about it, put this to work on your blog starting today, and I will see you tomorrow.